Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. I promise you that we will make the next 15 minutes extremely worthwhile for you. But before you proceed to listen, can I ask you to do one of the three things? One, please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. If you already do, great. Leave a review for us, will you? And if you've done those two things, you're an absolute star. But please help us reach more people by sharing the link to this podcast or the episode that you're about to listen to your network. We are an independent podcast and we rely solely on your support and word of mouth, rather than any advertisement or sponsorship. If you want to sponsor, we won't say no. But until then, we need you. So please like, share, subscribe, and definitely leave a comment. In fact, for Spotify, you can leave a comment for every episode, or you can review the whole show. Do let us know what you think. Will you? This is a Caprino studio production, and I'm your host, Arun Sridhar. On behalf of all of us in the production team, I want to welcome you to another episode of our immersive production. So please wear your headphones or use an appropriate sound device to listen to the podcast. It is only right that you get to hear the episode in the way we intended it to be. Let's start then, shall we? The year 2022 was a watershed year in British politics. By the end of it, 3 different prime ministers had come and gone.
Not everyone in the UK is happy about Rishi Sunak taking the top spot and making history. And it's not because of his policies or because of his personality. No, there are some people who have a problem with something else, as this caller to a British radio show so eloquently explained.
85% of English people, yes, are white English people, and they want to see a Prime Minister that reflects them.
Yeah, this guy has a good point. Can you imagine if white English people wanted to rule countries where no one looked like them? Oh, that would never happen. Now, you know what's so funny to me? It's funny how racists always say, oh, colonization was fine, it was business, until they feel like they're being colonized. Then all of a sudden it's like, something needs to be done, something needs to be done. You're not even being colonized, the guy is British, what's wrong with you? You know, if you ask me, British racists are looking at this whole thing all wrong. This could be a good thing for you people. After 400 years, you'll finally get to legitimately blame a brown person for your country's problems. You're living your dreams! Wake up!
While Indians in general are indifferent to UK politics, this time it was different.
So Rishi Sunak has scripted history and he's all set to become the next Prime Minister of Britain. And at the age of 42, Rishi Sunak will be the youngest British Prime Minister in its modern history.
A man of Indian origin was in the race to become Prime Minister. When Rishi Sunak was finally sworn in, all of India rejoiced as if it had played a part in his victory. Everyone spoke of him as if they knew him personally.
Now, Rishi Sunak also addressed his fellow Tory members of Parliament at the Conservative headquarters in London, and he, remember, is the first person of British Indian origin who will be heading the government at 10 Downing Street.
But can I tell you something? Rishi Sunak wasn't the first Indian to make a mark in British politics. You heard that right. Way before Sunak stormed into 10 Downing Street, there was another brown man who came within inches of political glory on foreign soil. So let's rewind time precisely by 138 years. The year was 1885. An Indian barrister named Lal Mohan Ghosh stood for elections in the shipbuilding district of Deptford in southwest London. Newspaper headlines from that day resonated with "Vote for Ghosh," as he became the first Indian to stand for election to the British Parliament. So who was Lal Mohan Ghosh and how did he almost upset the English apple cart? Let's find that out today. From Caprino Studio, this is A Road Less Traveled, a podcast that seeks to dig deep into our collective archives to take you on a journey to show you how stories about India, Indians, and foreigners that are relatively unknown and underappreciated have changed and impacted our lives, society, and culture. Come along with us as we seek to hold your hands and travel through this amazing journey, paired with our own brand of unique storytelling, thoughtful music, and sound design to inspire, engage, and entertain you. If we have crossed paths before, a warm welcome back to you. For those who are new, there is only one way to get to know us and the stories. Get stuck right in and join us as we sail through this adventure together. Let's get started, shall we? I'm your host, Arun Sridhar. The story begins in 1849. Lal Mohan Ghosh was born in a tiny hamlet of Bengal in Krishnanagar. He went on to become a barrister and was a pioneer in his field. From a young age, Lal Mohan showed a deep interest in politics. In 1903, he presided over the Madras session of the Indian National Congress, quite a few years before Gandhi finally returned to India from South Africa. In 1869, Ghosh left for London to study law, and London opened up a whole new world to him. His own upbringing, coupled with his newfound exposure, convinced Ghosh that Western education was the need of the hour. In fact, all learned men at that time had a firm belief that improvements to India's independent struggle could be attained by working within the system, quite literally by having a seat at the table. Ghosh firmly believed that Western education would play a big role in uniting India and its people. At one of the Congress Working Committee meetings in Madras, he went on to emphasize and strongly argue for the implementation of a national primary education policy in India. But ideas by themselves are dead things. Implementation was the need of the hour. Would Lal Mohan Ghosh be able to make a difference? So let's get back to the story. Around this time, the Indian Association in India sought to acquire by constitutional means rights for Indians, the right to justice, expression, opportunities of trade, among other things. For this, they needed a voice. They needed someone who was acquainted with the British education system, who could represent India in the British Parliament. Who better than Lal Mohan? Ghosh was chosen as a delegate and sent to the United Kingdom. This marked his foray into British political landscape. Ghosh was also a brilliant orator. His fiery and startling speeches on the state of affairs in India started attracting large crowds wherever he went. His exquisite English and oratory skills impressed various sections of the British society, especially the elite. Within a short time, Ghosh caught the attention of the Liberal Party and its representatives in Parliament. In 1885, the Liberal Party decided to field Ghosh for parliamentary office from the Deptford constituency, a stronghold of the radical working class. This was a pivotal and watershed moment in the history of British elections. Never before had an Indian run for a seat in the British Parliament. Indians in England were overjoyed. Finally, they would have someone representing them in Parliament. But fate had other plans. Despite garnering 47.5% of total votes, Ghosh lost to the much experienced Conservative candidate William John Evelyn by a wafer-thin margin of just 367 votes. Most felt that was the end of Ghosh's political career in England. But there was no stopping Ghosh. More determined than ever, he decided to contest again the following year. On the day of the election, Deptford was covered with placards and festoons, with supporters from both parties descending on the town in droves. The scene was incredible to watch. On one side, you had a seasoned British parliamentarian. On the other, a firebrand Indian contestant. Lal Mohan Ghosh rode into town on a carriage,
with his daughter by his side. People were cheering for him all through the journey. The atmosphere was electric. Even though W.J. Evelyn received less votes than the year before, he still managed to trump Ghosh. People were stunned. For the local Indians, Ghosh's victory had been a foregone conclusion. But sadly, that day saw a split in the Liberal votes, which led to many Liberals abstaining from voting. This proved costly for Ghosh. At the end of the day, W.J. Evelyn had defeated Ghosh by a margin of 627 votes. This ended Lal Mohan's brief but illustrious political career in England. He decided to head back to India. While Ghosh's exit was unfortunate, there isn't an iota of doubt about the atmosphere on election day, which eventually led to the igniting the fire of Indian nationalism in England. Before Lal Mohan Ghosh appeared on the scene, it was inconceivable to even think that a dark-skinned person from India could travel to England and dream of running for a seat in the British Parliament. When Ghosh did exactly that, he smashed through the glass ceiling and rewrote rules and history. Never before had an English town ever cheered for a native man, as Indians were called in those days, against one of their own. And they say winner takes it all. In the case of Lal Mohan Ghosh, it was different. Though he may be faintly remembered today, he was a true trailblazer of his times. He opened doors for the likes of Dadabhai Naoroji to be inducted into the British Parliament a few years later. Before we wrap up, let me read this obituary from the Daily News in London, and I quote, "The most accomplished political speaker that India has sent to this country. A man of remarkable gifts, Mr. Lal Mohan Ghosh, in happier circumstances, would have carved out a greater career for himself." Unquote. So, whenever you hear people say that Rishi Sunak was the first brown man to be Prime Minister of the UK, know that it was made possible by the trials and tribulations of a man who came 138 years before him.
You've just listened to a Caprino studio production. Our stories were written and edited with the valuable help of Bhattacharya. The impeccable compositions that you listened to were performed by Dr.ShivaShankar, and the sound design was done by myself and our wonderful sound engineer, Mr. Swaminathan ThiruGnanaSambandam. Look up our show notes and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and ensure you get all the updates on our WhatsApp channel. We will see you soon with more stories. Until then, stay well.